Great. Decop here. I'm back again. I decided. Hold on, wait. Okay. I'm back again so soon. I decided to do another story time. A lot of people have been asking me to do one, but it won't be on my law enforcement story time. This one may be, I don't know, for some of the people that I know that's in my chat. I know how it may be a jerker for them anyway, and hopefully not for me. I'm not trying to be emotional, but this story time what made me think about doing this story time was I ran up on some pictures of my wife, the one that passed away, and I had thought about it, which a lot of people don't know, or no one on here knows, but she's not the. My wife was not the only person that I've been with that has passed away. I had another partner that passed away, and I know my wife, when she found out, she went like, "Oh my God! Wow, what kind of luck?" They said, "You have bad luck, don't you? Or or you on bad luck." We laughed about that, but yeah, it was. I'm gonna guess and say like 30, maybe 30 years, 25 years ago. Yeah, she. I'm not sure. I can't. I'm trying to think how did. This is. It was just. It started occurring that she was having shortness of breath, and she's not one for going to the doctor. But if she says take me to the hospital, then it's serious. So we had been together probably like 7 years or something like that. And like I said, she had started having a shortness of breath. She couldn't get her breath, and it would come and it would go, come and go. And this one particular time, she told me, she said, take me, I need to go to the hospital. And I was like, to the hospital? And she said, yeah. She said, I'm having a hard time breathing. So, okay. She's like 5'8", 5'9", somewhere around there. And I'm just 5 feet. So we go, and I took her to hospital where we lived. And it was, let's see. No, we went. I took her to the county hospital. At that time, it was such long waits, and the way it was set up, it was awful. If a person was really sick, so we waited and waited, and she was hurting really having a hard time breathing. And I went back up to the desk, and I was telling them that they needed to see her because she can't breathe, and she was tears running out of her eyes, and so I'm they're trying to get them to understand she need to be seen, and the lady, she just didn't care. They was overworked, I guess, and she just didn't care. So I was going back to sit down, and then she got really bad off and I was scared. So I said, "Come on, we're going to another hospital." So I took her to another hospital, not the county hospital. It was actually in the city that we lived. I drove there like a bat out of hell. But on the way out of that hospital, she got limp, and I think she must have passed out. And I'm 5 feet. She's 5'8", 5'9", and all I knew was that I was scared and she couldn't breathe. I picked her up, carried her out of the hospital to the garage, put her in the car, and I drove like a bat out of hell. Went to the emergency entrance to the hospital, and we got inside, and they seen her right away. They put her in a room. The doctor came in, and they gave her some medicine. After I was telling them what was wrong with her, what had happened, and he told me that she that they would give us some pain medicine. So they gave us some pain medicine, and I think it probably put her to sleep, and they did other stuff. But I'm sitting there, and I'm don't know what to do. So light from. So I'm sitting there, I'm waiting. I'm sitting by her bed, and she finally come back around, and I noticed she was feeling better. She was able to talk, and we even sit there and laughed a little bit. And then the doctor comes in, and he says, "Yeah, we got your x-rays and stuff back or whatever." He said, "You're going to have surgery. You have fluid around your heart, and we have to get that fluid from around your heart. That's what's squeezing your heart, and it's making you have a hard time breathing." And she said, "Okay." She was like, "Okay," and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me. We both scared. This was like 30 years ago, 25 years ago, so I really didn't know anything. So she says, "Okay, but well, can I come Monday? Because I have to work the weekend." That doctor looked at her and said, "Ma'am, you have to have an emergency surgery in the next hour or two, or you won't be here." We looked at each other. She was like, he said, "And I must tell you if she hadn't brought you here when she did, you would have been dead. And we looked at each other, and both of us started crying. I mean, just booing up a storm. And he said, so, okay, if you need to make any phone calls, you need to do anything, you can go do that, because we're going to be prepping her, and come and take her to surgery. And he say, well, they'll be here to get her. And he left out, and we both sitting there. I'm looking silly. I'm sitting on the side, and I'm crying, and she crying. And we weren't talking. We didn't know what to say. We just crying. And then I said, you want me to call your mom? And granted, her family did not like me. Okay. I forgot to start at that point. Okay. Because, as always, when you have one gay person, if it's two gay females, two males, and the family don't like the fact that their daughter, their child, their sister, brother is gay, they blame that outsider. Okay, so therefore, I was to blame. So I was like, you want me to call your mother? She really didn't, and I doggone sure didn't. But, I mean, she was having surgery in case something happened. She said, yeah. That's how bad it was. Okay, so I called. I waited to call them after they came and got her out the room and went to do the surgery. And they had to remove, I forgot how many pounds of fluid that was around her heart. And I called her mom, and they came down. They were from Shreveport, Louisiana. So she had a mother and a brother. Her brother lived in Dallas, but her mother lived in Shreveport still. So they showed up, and as usual, just take over everything, but that's how it goes when you do not take care of your business. And when I say taking care of your business, I'm talking about the way me and my wife took care of Will and what's the deed, and taking care of all that stuff in case something happened to one or the other. We didn't do that. We were young. I didn't know anything about doing stuff like that. So no, we didn't have it like me and my wife had it. So they came in, they took over everything, and she stayed in the hospital for a while, and eventually they went back home. I skipped that whole part. They went back home, which was great. Her brother lived here, so. And from that point on, it was, she She had lost a lot of weight. At the time, she was really healthy. Um, I want to say um, she wasn't fat. She wasn't skinny. But after all that, she, the, she wore a size 0 in some of her clothes. So she lost a lot of weight. Um, and off and on, have to get that fluid from around the heart, and she just couldn't gain the weight back. And she stayed sick a lot because of that. But they never did give us a diagnosis. You know, so we just thought, okay, fluid buildup around her heart. Okay, you know, and when she would start feeling that again, then she'd have to go back to the doctor, and they would have to see if she got more fluid, and if so, they would have to drain that fluid from around her heart. Okay. And the next time that she had gotten sick, no, she had a doctor's appointment that she was supposed to go to. I worked at night. I worked at night, so when she went to her doctor's appointment, I was asleep. I just came home and went to sleep. She went to her doctor's appointment. Now, I was really tired because when she got to her doctor's appointment, because I told her, when you get to your doctor's appointment, make sure you call me. And she got to her doctor's appointment, and she had forgotten her medication. She had forgot her medication at home, and she needed that medication. She tried to call me. She tried to call me because she needed the medication, and also to tell me that they were admitting her to the hospital. But I didn't know because I was asleep. And well, let me tell you. Well, I did know because I was asleep. But before I go that, I didn't know because I was so sleepy. I heard the phone, and I just didn't answer. I was that tired. And because I take migraine medicine, that puts me to sleep. So I heard it. I didn't get up. I didn't want to get up. And so I just kept sleeping. Okay. She called me back a little bit later, and I answered the phone. She told me she needed her medication. The doctor needed her medication. I said, okay. I didn't rush to take the medication, okay, because I had to go to work. I was going to have to go to work later on that. So I took my time and didn't rush, and I called. She had told me, when she talked to me again, she told me that they were admitting her, or either it was just to bring the medication. Okay, and like I said, I didn't rush. When I got ready to take the medication, because I was going to swing by there and go take a medication, and shortly after, it'd be time for me to go to work. I I tried to call a number she had left me. I called that number and it wasn't her answering, or it wasn't like a front desk or anything. And it was, I kept calling. I kept trying to before I left. And I finally got an answer, and it was some Hispanic people. And I was asking for her, and they was like, I don't, they didn't know who I was talking about. And I was like, well, she called from this number, and they still didn't know. I just did not. I did not think that it was that. I mean that the doctor needed that medication that bad. That because they should have a record of what she was taking. But when I tried to go, which was my own time, instead of taking it when she told me that they needed the medication, and I would have found out what was happening. She had something to, I don't know what it was. Something happened. They admitted her in the hospital, even though she was just going for an appointment. So I think she stopped breathing or something. I didn't know. I didn't find out because I never did go to the hospital. I went on to work around about 8 or 9 o'clock. I think it was probably about 9 o'clock. It was 9 o'clock. There's a song. Let me take a break in the story, from the story. There's a song, I can't remember the name of it now, but a song that Luther Vandross came out with that album, with that song. It said, I don't know the exact words, but what it said was, Harry Rush, that you may not get to see her again. I got a phone call. I was at work at 9 o'clock. And I don't know what made me answer it, because I didn't recognize the number. But probably because I hadn't heard from her, and I had been steady trying to call that room, call that number. I didn't know where she was, what had happened. She hadn't called me or any of that. And here I'm at work, worried. Then I get a phone call. And I said hello, and realized it was one of our friends, one of our close friends. And she said to me, you need to rush, come to the hospital. The doctors say, Joanna may not make it through the night. And I was floored. And I'm like, what? She said, you have to hear it. You have to get here. And that song, Luther Vandross sing. I can't remember the name, but it has that exact incident in it, in that song. And I have the album, but I have never been able to listen to that album because it has that song on it, and because that's what happened to me that night. The same way he received a phone call saying, "Get down to the get to the hospital because your baby may not make it through the night." That same thing happened to me. That song was put out that same time. On his album, a new album he dropped at that same time. I was so nervous and guilty. I couldn't even put my keys in the ignition. I called for somebody to come and take over at the job, and I was waiting, and it was just taking too long. They kept calling me saying that I may not get to see her again, and I called the guy and I told him I'm leaving. Just go ahead and go. I'm leaving. I got in my vehicle and hey, be quiet. I drove 100 miles an hour. I wasn't that far away, but I floored it. They was like, well, she was like, I don't know, and it's past. She's in ICU, and the visiting hours is over. And I said, I don't care about any visiting hours. I came in there. I was just walking right past, and I knew I had to see her family because somebody had called her family, her brother, and the next thing you know, all of them was in the waiting room, and I just walked right past them, and I think they was doing something to her. I didn't get to her room in the ICU. They stopped me, and I was just sitting there, and the brother was talking to me, and then his wife said, are you ready to go see her? And I said, yeah. And so she was walking with me, and I got, it was probably, ICU, the rooms are open, they just got the curtain pulled in front of them, and I was coming straight down the hallway, and I could see the room straight ahead. I couldn't really see her in the bed, but I got probably maybe about 40 yards to her bed, and I seen all those all those tubes, and just all kind of stuff, and I just I couldn't take it. Yeah. And so when I was able to go they said that she was not conscious, and she wasn't conscious much at all. She was in ICU for like a month, and you know they really want you out of those ICU rooms, but she was in about a month, and so what I was finally able to walk into the ICU room where her bed was, and all I could do was cry because the machine was pumping, you know, with the tube and all that stuff down her throat, and she was not conscious when I first went in there. I don't think she was conscious probably for probably about a week or so. She wasn't, but me and some of my friends, we would all take turns coming, sitting up there. Even though her family was there, we still would rotate and come and sit with her, and you know, try and talk, and hopefully she could hear us, and really and try to watch her family to see what they were doing behind my back while I'm at work. And so I was playing some jazz music, and because she liked jazz, and I was sitting there with her, and then I saw her moving her hand or something, and she reached out to me, and I was just, I couldn't believe it, and I started trying to talking to her, and they told the doctor, you know, they came in, the mother, you know, came in, and the brother and all that, and the doctor said, well, she's not conscious, you know. So yeah, she's conscious. She reached out to her, and then we were talking to her, and she seemed to be, well, she knew what, you know, she didn't know where she was at, and that's why she kept asking, where am I, and all that. And she had said, because she had said that she didn't, I think she had the DNR, do not resuscitate, but I said, I mean, hey, no, don't take her off that machine. She's sitting here talking to, but they, you know, ICU wanted that room, and I said no. I mean, give her, you know, give her a chance. Don't take her off that. So they said, well, we're gonna have to, you know, take her put her somewhere else. Yeah, because they need the room. So they put it all together. They sent her to a hospice. Hospice. Ugh. Um, and before that, I asked her, did she want to live? And I said, they want to take you off this machine. Do you want to live? Or do you want to just... And she shook her head, but I didn't know which one that meant. I say, you wanna live? And she shook her head and said yes. And I told them, and they was there and they seen it. She said yes. So okay, they was taking her to a hospice, and her mother and her brother and them was moving funny, and she got to the hospice, and I drove to that hospice, and opened the door, and that place is creepy because there's nothing but long hallways. Everything is painted white, and you got that long hallway to walk before you get to anyone, before you see anybody, and it's creepy as hell. So I finally make it to, and I'm studying because I'm thinking about them spooky hospitals on TV. So I get to the desk, and I told them her name, and they said it's, in this room. So I opened the door, and I went in, and I thought she was going to be in room by herself, and it was like somebody else in there. And actually, they put like 4 people in one room. They got a corner for everybody. But at that time, it was just another person. And I think they died shortly after she was in there. And that place was creepy as hell. But we kept rotating, coming in, rotating, my sisters and all. But my dad, he came up there, and he came and he prayed for her. He prayed for her. He was coming to pray for her. I went and picked him up because he said he needed to pray for her because I don't know, there was something about her mother. So when my father walked into that room and her mother was in that room, it was like he couldn't breathe. He had to get out of there. He just left. I don't know what happened, but he waited until, I think he went to a waiting room or left and went outside or something. But he said he couldn't stay in the room with her. It was some kind of spiritual feeling. After the mother left, he came back in. He prayed for her, and then that was it. And he hugged, he kissed her, and he told her she'll be okay. And but he told her that she would have to forgive her mother. He said, I don't know what's happened. I don't know what it is, but you have to forgive your mother. Now, I didn't know what it was. Let me see. This was the mother did not believe her when she told the mother that her stepfather molested her. And that's what she was holding, the I don't want to say hate, but I'll say the what the grudge, the I don't want to say hate, but it was something. But my father said before she could, if she, well, the doctor had already told me that he just came out and told me when she was in ICU, he said, you must get your head together and understand this. She will not walk out of this hospital. She's not. And I didn't believe him. I didn't believe him. You say whatever you want to. God has the final word. And I believe that she was. So we was rotating in and out at the hospice. And one day, one morning, I went in that morning to sit with her and visit and see how she was doing. And all the other times, I walked in to her room and I looked over to where her bed was. And I was like, where is she? And I asked the nurse, where is she? And the nurse said, that's her over there. She looked like she weighed 300 pounds. It was, and I kept walking and kept looking. It was like, and they said, she's what was, I can't remember the name of the I don't know if you call it a disease or a sickness or whatever, but what it was, it was like I don't know, like now would it been called cancer, but at the time all they told us was they gave us some big super duper long name that we looked up and what it said, and it matched what happened to her it like 10 years back. That because when I first took her to the hospital, that when she couldn't breathe and had to, that was the beginning of it. But it lies dormant for 10 years, and then it shows up. And that's what happened. What it does, it makes your lungs look like a honeycomb. And it eventually will kill you because you can't breathe. And that's what happened with her. But okay, back to the hospice. We're going in and out, and I came in that day, and like I said, I didn't recognize her. The only way I recognized her, she had a indentation on her forehead that she had got when she was a kid, and that I looked for that, and I seen that was the only way I recognized her. And then I sit there, and her mother, came in, and she half talked and half spoke, and it was fake. But the doctor was coming in telling her, basically, we was hearing them talking about taking her off. No, she was wanting to take her to Shreveport, Louisiana. And I was not happy. You know. Okay, and it was time for me to go to work. And then one of our other friends, they came in as I was going out to go to work. The next morning, I came in, and they had her. She was sitting up in one of those seats, and that was like crazy, amazing. Because all the other time, she was not conscious, and sometimes she didn't know who I was, and that got me, because I did not know that she didn't recognize me, that she sometimes didn't know who I was. I didn't know that. And one particular day I came in, and I was talking to her, and I was playing around with her, joking or something, and she was looking at me, and she said, "Get away from me." And I was like, "What?" And I'm laughing with one of our other friends, and no, it was just me. It was just me. I had to tell one of my other friends, and she said that again. She said, "Get away from me," and she was looking at me as if I was a stranger, but it didn't click. So my feelings were hurting, and I told one of our friends, and she said, "Lisa," she said, "Don't." She said, "You didn't know that she don't know. There's plenty of days that she don't know who you are." I did know that, so I was hurt. Okay, so one morning I come in, like I said, they had her sitting in one of those chairs, and she was sitting up, and she was talking, because at first she couldn't talk. She couldn't talk. She could barely write. But she asked the nurse. She liked Cokes. She asked the nurse. She said she smelled the food, and she said, "Ooh, that smelled good." And she said, "Can I have something to eat?" And then the nurse was like, and I was excited. And she said, "Can I have a Coke?" And I was just about to jump up and down. I was so happy. And so, I was thrilled. So when it was time for me to go to work, I left. I called back, and I was talking to a friend that was there. And I was telling her. And she was like, "Oh, really?" She's like, "Oh, okay." She said, "Yeah, she's laying down now. She's not still in the chair." And so we hung up. And I got up. For some reason, my friend didn't call me like she always does. Was it that night? No, I think it was that morning. The next morning, I think it was. Well, she called me, and I was still talking about the fact that she was sitting up, and she asked for some food, And I say, you know, if she asks for a Coke, she's feeling good. She's feeling better, you know. And my friend didn't say anything. I said, have you seen her yet? She said, Lisa, she said, I was still thinking about her, wanting that Coke and smelling that food, even though, it probably didn't even taste good, but, it always smelled good anyway. But, yeah, I was all excited, all happy, because she was sitting up. So, sitting up, wanting something to eat, and wanting the Coke. And my friend wasn't talking right. I said, what's wrong? She said, they, her mother and her brother and the a chaplain and some other family members are in the room. She said, when I got here. And I said, in the room? What are they doing in the room? She said, they just pulled the plug on her. And I said, what? She said, she's gone. I said, what? She said, she's gone. I said, there can't be. No, it can't possibly be. I say, I told you when I was there earlier, she was sitting up talking. For something to drink. She asked for a Coke. She asked for something to eat. She was sitting up. She said her mother then made the decision yesterday to pull the plug on her today. And I was done. All I could say, besides falling into a sleep, I said, they killed her. I said, they killed her. So, they did not want to be bothered. I said, her mother did not want to be bothered. she was already needing to hurry up and go back home. But before I skipped the part about while she was staying here, she was in the apartment. Do you know that her mother and brother and whoever else, her family members, I went to the apartment. Do you know that they had packed up? They had already took everything out of the apartment. Gone. Empty apartment. Everything. And everything wasn't hers. They cleaned that apartment out. Everything. So she was ready to go home. And they pulled the plug on her. And I was done. I never seen her mother and brother, and I did see the brother again. I didn't see her mother again. They had her funeral here, or a wake or something. I don't know. I didn't go to it. I did not go. I didn't go to her wake. I didn't go to her funeral. No. My sisters and my nieces and all of them, they went. All the friends went. They kept asking me, and they thought I was going to change my mind and go, but I didn't. Did not go. Because all I could say is they killed her. They killed her. And when my friend got off the phone, she went. They opened up the door and they let her go in, and the nurses station had already told what they was doing in there, because they had told them not to let anybody in the room because they was doing it then. Well, after she got off the phone with me, they opened up the door and they told her that they had pulled the plug on her. She went over to the stretcher, and she was still warm. She was still warm. Her body was, and she got up and on the stretcher with her, and laid there. And I was at work. Didn't have a clue that they was going to pull the plug. And take her life. So yeah, that's the sickness that she had. I can't, no possible way I could remember the name because it was about 15, 20 letters, but it made her lungs look like honeycomb, and eventually it keeps getting, smaller and smaller, and it just takes you. You can't breathe, then you die. So that's Jill. You need to go to the bathroom. Come on. So that is the story time of another partner.